I was on.
We'll be okay, Dane. We're live. Go ahead.
Okay. Again, this is Dane Wigington with GeoEngineering Watch Radio for Tuesday night. What is tonight? It's the 26th. Losing track. I apologize for the late arrival to the show. Just came off a conference call to Texas that involves some important announcements that I'll make further detail available on in the morning. But we have some big wheels turning now in our fight. Some important allies, important people involved. They're highly committed. This is something I and others have been working on for quite some time. We've held back from any announcement until we knew we had something very tangible to work with. So the bottom line is it's been a long road, but we may be close to making some serious breakthroughs soon. Again, I'll announce more on that in the AM. And I want to get to question and answer pretty quickly. And I had a couple of topics I want to go over. And Russ, we can discuss what things are like out your way as well. But we're seeing, and one thing again we can discuss in more detail. I'll take call-ins in about 15 minutes. The worse things get, the further into denial many people are going. Hearing from a lot of people that are getting very aggressive responses from those they try to introduce the climate engineering issue to, and that's simply fear. As people are confronted with something that they are petrified of, they're angry at the messenger, if you will. Very, very angry. So you have to be prepared for that. Don't be alarmed by it. Don't fuel it. Simply try to pass on the data and move on to someone else who's maybe a little more psychologically capable of waking up. I just had an encounter at our local Costco here about a week ago. I was wearing a GeoEngineering watch.org shirt. It says, "What are they spraying?" with their website. I had several of the Costco employees approach me and say they're very alarmed about this issue and where could they get more data. And I told them I would bring back a free DVD for them, which I always keep with me. So after I went to my vehicle, I recovered a few DVDs, went back in, and without conversation or without making any to-do about it, I just passed those DVDs off to the people in Costco. On the way out the door, a manager who was quite aggressively angry approached me, and almost as if I was shoplifting or something. His attitude was pitiful, and tried to confront me about passing this material on. And I made clear I wasn't selling anything. I didn't solicit anything. I just simply was asked about an issue of grave importance, and I passed on, without conversation, some information for those employees to look at later. And this person was the type of which all of us have probably encountered at some point, this sort of mindless, non-thinking, by the book, incapable of making a decision objectively sort of person. And all you can do with somebody like that, I certainly said that I would not engage in that in the future, or certainly if I did, I would be even more covert. But a word to the wise: if you're passing on in that kind of situation, you have to do it with great care. And I was very careful, but this situation, when you encounter the type of people I described earlier that are simply so afraid of reality that they confront you, no matter how legitimate your point is. So on that regard, a very brief weather update around the globe. I hope people listening will actually look at data that's happening around the globe right now. I talk about this a lot, but I'm going to keep driving this point home. You have to look at data, not our mainstream media smoke and mirrors propaganda shows. Real data that our media is not telling us. And this should be a huge red flag as to what they want us to think and what they don't want us to think. Right now, in the last few days, you've had about 1,500 people die in India because it's record-shattering heat. So hot, it's melting road surfaces. You don't hear much discussion about that on our headlines. Why? Because our government does not want an American population to know just how bad it is. How many people have seen mainstream media say, by the way, Arctic ice is at all-time record lows right now? And it's plunging. It's really heading in a trajectory that's never been seen before. Can't hide that one much longer, but that's the case right now. Texas, the flooding. I've been asked this question a number of times. I was asking on the conference call I just came off. Is that flooding related to climate engineering? Yes, it is. There is no natural weather. All is tainted. All must be considered connected to climate engineering. If the climate engineers didn't want it to rain in Texas, it would not be raining in Texas, not to any significant degree. With aerosolization, they can stop convection, they can scatter the precipitation, would not have that kind of activity happening there if they did not want it to happen there. So that's important to remember. And as we progress into the walls that are closing in from every direction around the globe, we have countries around the globe descending into chaos right now. Much of that chaos was created and fomented by the Western power structure and the U.S. Who started ISIS? We see all our mainstream media, especially Fox and CNN, that are playing up this ISIS threat. Who started and funded ISIS? Just like Al-Qaeda, people need to get their information somewhere besides mainstream media, which is nothing more than a smoke and mirrors propaganda show right now. That's all they are. So the militarization of the planet, we have now, because primarily the Western power structure, primarily the U.S., has been so aggressive globally, and it's not hard to verify what I'm saying. How many countries has China invaded in the last half century? 0. How many has Iran invaded in the last 230 years? 0. How many has the U.S. invaded in the last 50 years? About 50. Who's the aggressor? So we have a militarization going on, which is nothing more than a race toward total extinction. With the Earth's last remaining resources, we have countries around the globe now all using these resources to beef up their militaries even more. And that's the sort of people that are running the world. And it's important for our military. I see these commercials, and I've ranted about this before, but it's important. These incredibly infantile, simplistic commercials that makes it look like joining the military is like signing up for a country club. It's a total farce, and this nationalistic sort of theme is a total farce. Our military is being used against our own population. They are not a tool for national security. They are a tool for the global power structure, period. And it's important that we get that message out. We need our military brothers and sisters on our side. And we need them to realize they're being used as tools against their own countrymen. And when we have people on like CNN today, for example, people with names like General Spider Marks, it sounds like something from a Batman movie. Or we have Wolf Blitzer. Does anybody think that's his real name? CNN correspondent Wolf Blitzer, a former APAC lobbyist. This is a circus of insanity. And people better wake up and join this fight soon, or we're going to have nothing left to save. So, Russ, I want to see a little update on what it's like where you're at. I want to know your perspective on the kind of people that aggressively push back when you try to just introduce a subject, your perspective on that, and then let's try to get some calls to elaborate on that further so we can try to give some perspective to activists that become discouraged when someone pushes back. And I don't want them to become discouraged. I want them to understand what they're facing and why, not to let it bother them so that it doesn't slow down their activism work. So, Russ, what's it like where you're at weather-wise? And you can answer the question as to those kinds of deniers that push back hard.
Absolutely. Weather here, I mean, we have the typical overcast days, one after another after another. We have had some clear days and some partly cloudy days where you have to look really hard. It's getting harder and harder to see the spraying jets releasing because they're spraying at high altitudes and they're having short trails. But the stuff that you're breathing is still in the air. But we're having a lot of overcast days, dreary weather. You know, it's not supposed to be like this. I remember what life was like before geoengineering. About people who push back, one word for everyone: paranoid. Isn't it ironic how the mantra that has been spread against or to discredit people who believe conspiracies exist, which most certainly they do, and much more widespread than most people realize, is paranoid. However, it really is the other way around. People who are afraid, people who are not willing to face the reality of what's going on in the world today, are really the ones who are paranoid, the ones too fearful, because facing truth today is not easy. So if you come across someone like that, be polite, like Dane said, and move along and find someone who has the courage to face truth.
Well said, Russ. And they are the ones that have the psychological deficiency. Psychoanalysis proves this. We've posted this. In fact, anybody listening can Google, if they Google geoengineeringwatch.org, conspiracy theorists sane. They'll come up with postings we've done on this. So this is not our opinion. It's absolute fact that those who question are more rational, more sane. Why would this be a surprise? So as the walls close in, the aggressive, angry deniers are going to get worse and worse. In fact, on that note, I think about 24 hours ago or somewhere in that range, Kaylee Jenner, Bruce Jenner's daughter, tweeted and spoke out about the climate engineering issue. Unfortunately, she apparently used the chemtrails term. Again, that's a big mistake. We need to abandon that term. It is highly detrimental to our cause. But the point is, she had the courage to speak out. We should all seek out ways to contact her. Hopefully, Russ, you and I can maybe figure out the best way to show our support, or where people can email to her or Facebook her, so that we show support, because the media has gone after her like a pack of piranhas. That's their job, to not let anybody speak out on this issue without serious repercussion, just like they did to Charlie Sheen. So we need to show our support. We're getting close to taking a big leap forward on the exposure of our issue. Again, I'll make more announcements about that in the morning.
And Dane, this is how it works. I mean, remember Charlie Sheen. You bring up Charlie Sheen. Remember, it's amazing because he started speaking out against the war and against the Bush administration. And what happened? And I'm not saying this is a Democratic or Republican issue. He spoke out against Bush, and then what happened? All of a sudden, all of these attacks from media came, and on Whoopi Goldberg on The View even said that. She even, as they were arguing about what's going on with Charlie Sheen, she actually humbly said, "Didn't he speak out against the Bush administration?" Isn't it ironic? This is the way the world really works.
Yeah, that's the way the whole machine is designed and been set up, and that's what's kept it going the wrong direction for so long, and we need to simply break that paradigm, period. So that's going to take all of us, and in the coming weeks and months, we're going to witness some great and immense changes from a lot of directions. And in fact, again, back to what the climate's doing right now, and this is where I hope that people abandon preconceptions, look at data on the ground, see what's happening. We had temperatures, as I stated, in Alaska. I think I stated this on the Saturday show, but we did have record-breaking temperatures in the mid-90s in places. People Google Arctic news. You can find a lot of that data. It's good, hard-hitting data from the ground. But again, we must sift the baby from the bathwater. In the case of the Arctic News website, easy to Google, a lot of very good data from the ground. But that group is calling for immediate climate engineering to be done, which is obviously exactly what we don't want to have happen, and exactly what's been happening for 60 years, and exactly what's helped bring us to this point. So in looking for data, a person must know enough to understand what to keep and what to throw out. It's imperative that we all learn enough to figure that out. So, Russ, if you want, let's open the phone lines up and see if we can get some dialogue going.
Absolutely. For those, we do have some callers. We'll take them right now. Callers who want to call in, we have plenty of time. The number is 718-717-8296. Dane, when they do start spraying, I've thought of this for a long time, and I said this on my show a while back, is I think what they're going to do is probably have a few jets go all over and have a blue plume or some strange looking plume and say, okay, that's the geoengineering jet, while they convince the rest of the world that the white plumes are all condensation. I'm imagining they might try to pull something like that. Any thoughts on that?
They may, but I think the power structure at this point knows that the public will never accept the climate engineering issue. That once they know this has been going on, the ramifications are so massive, it will overturn our paradigm immediately. This is what the power structure is preparing for, as we talked before. This is the purpose of the setting up of making the military presence familiar to the U.S. citizens, and it's all connected, and we're all racing to the intersection. We have to beat them to the intersection, because I don't think that any method of selling this, and they might try, Russ, I'm not contradicting you, they may try, but I think they know at this point that they will never get this to fly, ever, and they're
Well,
simply...
either way, it could work for them, because they could just say, we've decided not to do it, it's too risky. It doesn't matter, they're doing it anyway.
Well, yeah, I think they're going to maintain the position they have, that this is just some sort of proposal. But people are waking up very quickly. The damage that's occurring around the globe is cataclysmic. Can't hide this stuff much longer. And again, if we have an ice-free Arctic in the summer, this is called a blue water event, blue ocean event, where the ice is gone, the albedo is lost. And for those that understand the importance of that, or to make them understand, the ice reflects about 90% of the sun's incoming thermal energy. Open water absorbs about 90%. So once the ice begins to go, the system feeds on itself. Once the methane begins to expel from the seafloor, which is already happening, and the methane enters the atmosphere, it feeds on itself. There's 40 to 50 feedback mechanisms in full swing right now. The system is absolutely blowing out of control. So if we have that type of event, and we're, again, at record low Arctic ice right now, and no matter what headline you've seen, I challenge you to look at hard data. When you see a graph, and I saw graphs it was a Bloomberg article the other day, Bloomberg or one of the big financial sites, that claimed it was a chart that was supplied by one of the major sources. It was not. It was a totally fictitious chart. Look for sources. Look for actual visual data from the ground, which is available, so you can see what is happening and what is not. So if there's events of that significance, which I believe may happen this year or next, you can't hide that anymore, along with all the other climate disintegration scenarios that we're seeing around the globe. The point in time you can't hide that this is going on, we're going to have a very, very chaotic situation, and the power structure is preparing for that. So you say when, Russ, if there's anybody to bring on.
Yeah, we're good to go. Caller with your number that ends in 11. Who are we speaking with? Caller with your number that ends in 11. What's your name?
Hi. My number ends in 11.
That's you. You're the one. How you?
Oh, cool. Well, I'm listening again. I listened on Saturday and really got a lot out of it. This is Mary in Central Oregon again. And it's easier for me to call in than it is to go online. It seems like I got better reception. So I did want to say, since I was on the other call, I did look at the material that's on the website and really liked a lot of it. I don't have a printer at home, but I'm going to download. I don't know if it downloaded properly or not that day. I'm using a phone, a smartphone, but I liked the weather modification, the latest poster, and I think you had some type of smaller cards too, and I want to be able to purchase some of those as well to hand out. So I haven't done that yet, but I'm really interested and want to follow through on that.
On the informational cards, we haven't sold anything on GeoEngineering Watch. Unfortunately, even when I tried to sell things at less than what it cost us to send them out, and I send out I send out a lot of packages to different groups. I have at our own expense for certain events. But even when I tried to sell things at what it cost me to just send them out, we caught a lot of hell from a lot of people who make insinuations that are anything but true. Russ has spent a lot of his own funds in this adventure. I've spent my entire SEP account. So what we're doing is this, to try to fix this. On GeoEngineering Watch, you can download, we have an informational card, business card size, and flyers. Download those for free and print them where you're at. So just try to make that available.
Yes, that's kind of what I was saying, is that so I can the little information card is able to be downloaded, and then the poster, and then we just go ahead and print whatever we've downloaded, and then we print it ourselves then.
At the moment, if I may at
Okay.
some point try to offer something so people don't have to go to the trouble and just sell things that would cost us to produce them. We're not trying to make anything on this. We're just trying to get the
Right.
materials and not go broke. We may do something at some point soon because I know a lot of people want the DVDs. I do have commercial DVDs that are people can. Oops, sorry about that. I do have commercial DVDs that people can copy and circulate. There's about 5 presentations on that DVD, all menued, and I'd like to get those out there so people can duplicate them and circulate them. So I may make something available on that soon.
Okay, I will look for that because I was really looking for stuff in print to be able to present to people. And I was really listening to your story about how you were in Costco and you just passed those out. And I'm really wanting to present this in venues that would, if they say they're open. I currently belong and serve at a church that's very progressive in terms of activist activities. They're very social justice conscious, and I really would like to be able to present this information to that wonderful group of people, and I think that I'm hoping that they would be interested in, presenting the DVD as well as looking at the other material that I print after I download it.
Wow, Mary, I want to know what church you're going to. That's great.
It's a Presbyterian church in Bend, Oregon, which is Central Oregon. And they do a lot of they're very into social justice. So they have their different causes and various things, everything from sex trafficking, to working with a particular a couple different tribes in a part of Africa, and just various things that they're doing locally. They have the Green Team. Projects always going on, and they work with some of the local government here. So this is something that I'm really interested in presenting to them, because what I'm finding just on my end, and I'm just literally just an average citizen that just looks up a lot and researches a lot, and I have to say I really have found that it seems so much of the population that I can tell is they're not even to the point of feeling so much of that outward fear. They just don't have. They listen so much to the media, and they're looking down at their cell phones, and that's not a judgment. It's just truth. And I'll be looking up at the sky, and nobody else is looking. They're all going about their business, and it just seems like whatever is being put in the air, kind of that anesthetizes the short-term memory loss, the fluoride in the water, the chemicals in the food. It really is, I think, in an overall sense, dulling people.
If I could, on that note, again, the seeds you're sowing will sprout very soon. They'll have no choice. The immediacy of our situation cannot be overstated, and even most geoengineering activists right now are not yet accepting that or realizing that. We have people dropping dead in the streets of India right now. Siberia is burning to the ground. We have, again, temperatures pushing 100 degrees in Alaska in May. We have methane spewing into the atmosphere. This engineered cool down of the eastern U.S. has kept so many people confused, is not going to work much longer. The spraying is absolutely off the rails. So keep planting those seeds, and those people who are apathetic right now are going to be forced to wake. And I agree with you on all points that all these materials we're exposed to is certainly reducing cognitive function and objective thinking. But if we go back about 2,000 years, I've stated before on various programs that the Stoic philosophy is something that it's a big factor in my literature. And if we read the condition of the population at that time, and it's in a lot of texts from that area, extreme apathy, extreme blindness. So we're taking already human nature, which leaves an awful lot to be desired, and adding all these chemicals. It's a pretty bad mix. But even the people that seem, as you said, anesthetized right now, they're going to be forced awake soon as the fight or flight mode kicks in. So keep planting those seeds. They'll yield fruit soon enough.
Thank you, Dane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, for everything that you're doing. It's wonderful and very inspiring. Caller, with your number that ends in 33, who are we speaking with?
Hey, it's Jacqueline in Spring Hill, Florida.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hey, sorry I missed you guys on Saturday. I was out at the March for Monsanto, and there's a lot of people out there in Tampa. We were going to go to the one in Orlando, but it was kind of far from where I live. So anyway, I brought my geoengineering stuff out there, and I made a really interesting sign, and I saw a lot of people really looking hard at my sign. So I feel like a lot of people we're going to go home and at least research geoengineering. So I was happy about that. What I wasn't so happy about is that more people that march for Monsanto, don't march for geoengineering and tie the two together because, Monsanto made the aluminum resistant seed and everything. So that kind of makes me a little angry. But I think if we reach out to, people that do march for Monsanto, that we can get more people on board with marching for, geoengineering also. Also, I was excited today to hear that Kylie Jenner had, shared that I recently, on May 7th, I posted to all the Kardashian and the Jenner's pages. So I'd really like to think that, all my posting paid off, staying up till 3 a.m. and realizing the reality of this whole thing is just really depressing. But I just recently realized the reality of it all, the methane, everything. So,
I hear the angst in your voice, and we've all gone through that. We're all going to go through that, and the only way to avoid going through that, one, try to take the best physical care of yourself. You can do a lot. In spite of everything we're being exposed to, you can do a lot to stay chelated, to stay healthy, certain basic fundamentals. I'm going to put an article out soon on what I do, and I'm not saying that's the only thing or the best things. I'm just going to put what I do to stay healthy. Other things can be added to that. And two, this is imperative. We all have to decide what our philosophy is, what matters, what doesn't, what we should focus our energy on, what not. Our energy should be focused on that which is within our control. If we don't do that, then everything gets lost in the translation. You can't, if you're spinning circles on that which is not in your control, then you're not strong, clear, effective, able to go out and wake others up. And we have every right to be angry about what's happening, and anger can be okay if it's channeled properly, used as a fuel to propel you forward in this fight. So I would say, just like our physical body must be exercised every day, such is the case with philosophy, our philosophy as well. Our spiritual beliefs, you must exercise that every single day. You don't work out once and say, I'm in shape for the rest of my life. No, it's every single day. So it's imperative that we work on this. There's basic fundamentals. We should remember that our will is all that belongs to us. If we exercise that correctly every single day, then we're a success. Our life is a success, and we're making a difference for the better. And every person we wake up, every single one matters. And we need to remember these things so that what feels like a futile day is not a futile day. If we're waking people up, then what we're doing matters, period. And it's cumulative. And we are making much more progress than we realize. You have to remember all these things every day.
Right. Well, I'd just like to continue to encourage people to please join me in, posting on these celebrities' pages and posting on all of the photos and videos that circulate around Facebook. I can't imagine how tired you guys are. You've been doing this for a long time. I'm tired, and I haven't been doing it this long, so it must be tiring. But I've been staying up really late and just posting away and hoping that it reaches people. So I really encourage everyone else to join me in what I'm doing. That's it.
Well, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate what you're doing. I know what you mean about being tiring. We've been at it for a while, but glad to hear that somebody from Spring Hill is ringing the bell, because I grew up just south of there, Newport Richey. So it's great to hear that you're there. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jacqueline. Caller with your number that ends in 74. What is your name? Caller whose number ends in 74, last two digits.
Oh, Kathy, hello?
Hi, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles, And I want to say I went on my corner today with my sign, look up chemtrails on Olympic, and I had one guy take a picture, and they looking at the signs, but they drive on. And I belong to Los Angeles Skywatch.org, where we did our march here in Santa Monica, April 25th. We walked to the 3rd Street Promenade.
Kathy, if I might suggest again, I appreciate everything you're doing, and your efforts have been tireless. I think I know who I'm talking to now. And as time goes on, the more we use the science terms, the more traction we'll gain. And if you look at what just happened today to Kaylee Jenner, the reason they are absolutely tearing her to shreds is because they're using the non-science terms, and that's what's really got her on shaky ground right now. So the more we can stick to the science terms, they can't marginalize us very easily. And something we all need to remember, this is a chess game, and it's changing every day, and we need to make sure that we're on top of our game, if you will. So just a suggestion there, but thank you for everything you're doing, and for every person you help wake up. Again, it matters.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy. It's good to hear your voice. Yeah, it's good to hear your voice. I remember. Caller with your number that ends in 80. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, this is Paul from Miami.
Hello, Paul.
I have a couple of questions for you guys, especially as it relates to reaching out to others. Because the timing is one of the things that I think it is when you're trying to wake people up and you tell them, oh, it's going to happen soon, and it doesn't. We've all done it. We've all been through it. I've been writing a prepping column for over a year, and I have a mailing list of 800,000 people, and it hasn't happened. And in one breath, I'm hearing Dane say, this is going to be soon, they can't hide this. And in another breath, I'm hearing, well, stay tuned for Dane's health tips. And it's for me, it's more a question of, I have it right in front of me here because I've been just sitting here downloading things as I'm watching this. The AMEG report that you have download in your document section, it says starting as early as September 2013, with a best guess of 2015, that the Arctic ice is going to be melted. I guess this means melted all the way. Is this happening now? Is this summer this going to happen? Is this? It's very hard to get people to listen when you've been talking. When I've seen a collapse for a long time coming, and it just doesn't happen.
First of all, if I could say this, when I state that we should try to stay healthy while we fight this battle, I think that's something that has a practical application no matter what. And when I say that certain issues are soon, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to be a cessation of the spraying. It simply means a paradigm shift, that trouble is near. And it is, many things are happening now. This is not a one-day event. It's an unraveling, an unfolding, and it absolutely is happening now. We're losing 200 to 300 species of plant and animal a day. The marine ecosystems are imploding around the globe. We have marine life washing up on the beaches along the entire U.S. West Coast. I grant you that a lot of people don't see any of this happening because, again, as long as they can go get a Big Mac and a shake at McDonald's, the world is wonderful to them, but that's changing rapidly. So many things can't be hidden much longer. Global shipping, the Baltic Dry Index, from anywhere to anywhere. It's virtually in the basement. How long can you create the facade of a expanding economy when nothing's shipping anywhere or to anyone? How long can you create the illusion of U.S. prosperity when countries around the globe are disconnecting from the dollar right now? When countries around the globe, about 36 of them, are descending into chaos right now. It's happening. But too many people have decided that such events are one-day events where they wake up and everything's upside down. It's unraveling is a process. But in regard to for example, Arctic ice and the statements made by AMEG. That was their statements, not mine. But that being said, the ice is right now at all-time record low ice extent. Now, by the way, AMEG calls ice extent, or the governmental agencies call ice extent anything with 15% ice or more. Is that really an ice pack? Doesn't that mean 85% ocean if it's 15% ice? In every way they can, they are hiding reality. The ice mass radically declining, and that's all that matters. You hear about Antarctic ice expanding. In some areas it has. Why? Because there's so much fresh water running off the land-based ice. Another thing mainstream media doesn't tell us, it's desalinating the ocean around Antarctica. The fresh water freezes at higher temperatures, thus a bit more sea ice. So again, a lot of things are happening right now. And when it comes to the implosion of the industrialized society illusion, it's happening now. It's simply not a one-day process.
Yeah, I get that, and I can regurgitate all the stuff that's on this. We have a circle of like you opened my eyes to the event on to this on Greg Hunter's interview. I was a global warming denier and hardcore prepper for a long time, but a complete right-wing global warming denier. Then I saw you on Greg Hunter, and I was like, wow, this guy's for real. It obviously, anyone who listens to you that has a brain in their head can tell that you're not full of it. And so I looked into it. I watched a half a dozen of your other lectures and a lot of these things, but a lot of the things that you have in those presentations are very hard to research. The plankton thing is low. I wanted to research that. I can't find it. Now, I just found this Arctic news that you mentioned that does have these record temperatures in Alaska. So at least I have this, but even your website, it just doesn't have a lot of that stuff coming in, like this India story. I don't see that anywhere. Where do I see that on your website, the India story?
I haven't posted it, but I'm quite sure that if you Google record heat in India, you'll find a number of stories on that right now. Now, two things I want to say. Again, one, thank you for being open enough to take your compass heading again. And you're the epitome of why this battle matters, that someone that's obviously trying to fight for the common good, and I thank you for that, that's willing to assess new data and reevaluate the lens through which you're looking. And that's takes a lot of strength to do that. So thank you for doing that. In regard to the data online, this is very important. They are making it harder and harder and harder to search and find anything. You can't use a date and now narrow down your Google search because they're not really allowing the date to align what comes up. In every way they can, they're making it harder to search. You will find the plankton data there. Peer-reviewed science study confirms the figures I put out on that. It is there. If you can you can stay on the line and I can give you my email address after this and I will help you locate that if you can't find it, but it is there. That data is verifiable. In regard to things I post, if you'll notice things I put up in post, I put a lot of hyperlinks in there because I want people to see the data that I am referring to. So I try to reference everything I state, but the power structure is things that we know are online, very critical data sets. If we don't screenshot those or capture those in a screenshot, a lot of stuff is simply going away or becoming very hard to find, and that's not an accident. Some of the maps, the weather maps that were quite revealing as to showing the aerosol spray trails going down, when we find something, a particular map, a particular data loop that's very revealing, we don't have access to that very long before it goes away. Now, is that a coincidence? I doubt it. Is it a coincidence that the Weather Channel that used to show temperature maps that were very revealing, in fact, one of them I captured for the October 2013 snowstorm in Dakota that killed 100,000 cattle. That was a very damning screenshot, and it's still on the article that refers to that. If people Google engineered snowstorms begin again, they'll find that. But when people looked at a map like on the Weather Channel that showed 40 degrees and snow in Dakota, 85 degrees and rain in Chicago, 90 degrees and rain in Kansas City, they're scratching their head saying, how in the world could 100,000 cattle die in South Dakota from a snowstorm on October 4th? So that they don't show their maps like that anymore. For that reason, every time we uncover something or are showing something regularly that's very damning or revealing, certainly they're watching what we do, and certainly they're trying to eliminate those data sources. But in regard to the plankton, it's certainly still there. And a lot of academia now is waking up to this fact that they have to face it. They can't keep their head in the sand. And we're seeing peer-reviewed articles like what I published about a week ago that make clear not only is geoengineering not working, that geoengineering can't work. The laws of physics make clear it can only make the situation worse. So we are gaining ground. As futile as it seems, we are gaining ground. And back to the Arctic ice again, we are on a trajectory that under the right conditions could in fact lead to a blue water event as early as this September. If not this September, it looks highly likely by next September because the ocean temperatures are absolutely off the scale. The ice is imploding rapidly, and even in the next 8 to 10 days, I think we're going to be well into record territory. We're already record right now, record low, but we're going to see trajectories that will start to be hard to hide for media very soon.
Well, that's that actually is the other line of questioning that I wanted to ask is because I'm in Florida, I'm in South Florida, I'm 20 feet above sea level, and what's going to happen? Is this all going to be 100 feet underwater? I can't find any data on. There's one guy who's got a book about it, and he seems like he seems like a shill to me, a government shill to me, trying to sell their version of things.
If you can stay on the line till after, I want to make sure you have my contact because I want to make sure you have the data you need. But in regard to sea level rise, right now, mathematically, with the best frontline study available, there's a tremendous amount of sea level rise already, quote unquote, baked into the system. If everything stopped, if industrialized society stopped tomorrow, and geoengineering stopped tomorrow, and human destruction to the planet stopped tomorrow, with the inertia that's already built in, the best frontline figures I have seen indicate we are into many meters of sea level rise. Perhaps as much as 20 to 30 meters of sea level rise are baked in. Now, the figures as far as how much can it and will it likely rise eventually, and eventually, again, a lot of variables, climate feedback loops that are working right now, but likely much quicker than any of the worst case scenarios yet state. We have about 20 to 24 feet of sea level rise built into Greenland once Greenland goes. And all these ice caps are going at exponentially faster pace than any of the worst case scenarios right now. And the current data backs that up. I challenge anybody to investigate solid data on what I'm saying, and the data's there. So 20 to 24 feet in Greenland, about 197 feet in Antarctica, and about 10 to 15 feet in the rest of the Earth's glaciers, which are all disappearing, by the way. And anybody who doubts that, I challenge you to watch the film Chasing Ice. No politics. Nobody's pushing or selling anything. It's simply film footage that cannot be denied. Watch that film. It's online. It's about $3. So Florida's in the not so long term, Florida's done. There's no stopping that. And that's one of the reasons why the climate, Miami's pumping out every high tide just about. Did you know that?
They're doing what?
Miami's pumping out their drains and sewers just about every high tide right now. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, take a look at that. And one thing to consider, too, and this throws a lot of people for a loop, sea level rise is not uniform globally. That throws a lot of people for a loop, but there's many variables. That's why tidal movement is not uniform globally. You have some areas that have a tidal up and down movement of 30, 40 feet. Other places it's only a few feet. Sea level rise is not uniform. You also have thermal expansion. As the oceans warm, they expand. That causes more sea level rise. But right now, the latest stats show that sea level rise is rising exponentially faster than the worst case predictions. That's going to continue. The power structure is going to try to hide it. And you can Google Miami's pumping out from sea level rise and the precautions they're starting to take now in the hundreds of millions of dollars to try to deal with this issue. It's coming. It's coming rapidly. But if you can stay on the line, I'd like to give you my contact and try to fill in any blanks I can.
All right, thanks.
You bet.
Great, thank you, caller. Thank you. And you're going to stay on the line. We're going to take another caller with your number that ends in 85. Who are we speaking with? Caller with your number that ends in 85.
Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hi. I wanted to share. I've been posting on classified ads about geoengineering, trying to get people to go to the website. Am I coming in loud and clear?
Hear you good. Hear you really good.
They have a comment show, and they just moved it from Shabbos to Tuesday night, so I called in.
We got somebody else on the line, Russ? Gary?
I think we're clear. Go ahead, Gary.
Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, okay. I heard someone in the background. That's why I was waiting. Okay. Yeah, I've been posting links to geoengineeringwatch.org and Russ's website. I've been also posting how to get a direct link to the chat room and to the live show on the Geoengineering Watch live shows. So I've been doing that. I'm finding new classified ads every day, and I posted the two. I posted on Craigslist, and I posted. Oh, someone needs to mute, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Somebody in the background, though, if you can move so Gary can speak.
Yeah, I already removed them from the lines. They'll have to call back later. Sorry about that. Somebody was making a lot of noise. Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, and then I posted, I shared that with you. I emailed you, Russ, how I'm making these classified ads. I'm trying to encourage people, and I don't know if people are going there, but I'm getting them to go to your website, Russ. I don't know if you're getting more visits a day. I don't know if you can see if you don't have a counter on that page to see if you're getting any visits. But I'm directing them to to your website. And
well, that's awesome. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you can. Sorry, Dane.
I was going to say, Gary, the kind of action you're taking, I thank you very, very much, because that's a sort of creative, assertive action. You're trying to figure out the best, most effective, efficient ways to sow seeds and turn over stones and try to shine the light on this issue. And again, I salute those actions. I hope others maybe follow your lead. And again, there's so many ways that we can start spot fires of awareness. So I just wanted to express my gratitude to you, Gary.
Yeah, when I'm doing this, I'm sharing also on Facebook, so we post on ideas to stop geoengineering, and that's where we post these ideas to get others to want to do this. Because I posted I posted it in Tampa, my area, and I posted two other areas in Miami and Lakeland, Florida, and they flagged me. Maybe because I forgot to put geoengineering Lakeland or geoengineering Miami. I had left Tampa on it, so when I was looking, I said, I wonder why they flagged me on Craigslist. So I'm trying to adjust it where I won't get flagged. I'm trying to figure out what ways are, because you don't have to post to sell stuff on there. I just post it on the community and groups. So I'm trying to get that out because they don't have a area where activists can post stuff. But they haven't. The Tampa one, they left up. I actually had to just renew it today. I updated the today's show. The new, you changed the hours, and I just updated that information.
We're all refining our methods, and with everything you do, Gary, we're all refining our methods, and we learn on the way. And again, as I mentioned, if you're going to pass anything on to any store employee anywhere, you have to do it very, very covertly. Don't talk to them. Don't take them away from their job. Just hand it off if they want it and walk away. And wearing a shirt around works well. In fact, when I go to town, I wear a geoengineeringwatch.org shirt. It says, what are they spraying? And you're like a walking billboard then, and I keep material with me, and I pass it on all the time. But all of us are refining our methods. Sounds like you're refining yours and becoming better at it as you go. And again, I salute the methods you're using, Gary. It's a good example for others, and let's all learn from each other and march forward. And hey, Gary, thank you for everything you're doing down your way. Keep us posted.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Keep us posted. We'll try to grab a couple.
Russ and Dane.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary, thank you. Appreciate what you're doing very much, and we'll chat again soon. I see that Kim has called in through Skype. Kim, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am. I just kept it muted for a few minutes.
There you are. How you doing, Kim? What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing all right. We had a pretty awesome day back on Saturday, and I was hoping to call you guys just so you could, kind of hear what was going on with the field activism. But we had a huge success for the protests against Monsanto in Portland, Maine. We had started out with 300 people, and by the time we got halfway through our parade, people were coming out from businesses. People were parking their cars and jumping in with us. We've got video, we've got photos. I'm finding over the last 2 or 3 years, the people that I've been networking with, guys, are people that are Environmental Maine, the Maine Organic Farmers Association. All these different people are really involved with healthy food, and they're starting to understand that healthy food involves healthy skies, healthy water, healthy soil. And so what I'm trying to do is network with all these people and get them to understand there's something going on that they really need to know about.
You bring up a good point, Kim. In fact, I'm glad you've had enough time there to start to reach some of these people, and it's imperative we reach groups like the March for Monsanto groups and other environmental groups that have not yet realized the gravity of the climate engineering issue, that this issue actually supersedes all others. I was on a radio show today in Kansas. Live radio covers several states there, and the host was distraught because he was at a March for Monsanto meeting and was lambasted by some of the leaders, and I don't reflect this on all the March for Monsanto people at all. Certainly they invited me to speak in San Francisco last year with a couple thousand people there, so there's a lot of aware March for Monsanto people, but this particular host was quite aggressively pushed back when he tried to bring up geoengineering by a few in the group that simply did not want to go out of their comfort zone. So sounds like you're breaking down that comfort zone or the lack of awareness, I should say, in some of those people in your group. So I salute you for that. And yes, we need to reach out to people in all these groups because we have to prioritize. No matter how many issues we face, and there are many, if we have one that supersedes all others, one issue on which all others depend, that issue is climate engineering. We must deal with this first, period.
It's very serious, and they're starting. I mean, not everybody knows yet. One of the ladies that created this event, I let her know something that I observed on her page, and I let her know where I worked and how large our group was, and she's interested. She wants to know, how did your group get to be this large? And she sounds like she wants to work with me. I think when they actually realize what is going on out there, what the environment is doing to organic farming, they are going to be so pissed. They're already riled up. I mean, if you guys watch the videos of what we pull off when we march through the streets in Portland, Maine, you would be extremely excited. These people are families. I mean, we're talking elderly people are walking, we're talking old dogs, people in wheelchairs, ladies carrying babies that are saying, thank you for caring about my future. These people mean business. And once they realize that their skies are being loaded with garbage, which is raining down on the food that they're providing their family, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They are going to really mean business, and they're going to be very serious about this, just as I am for my family.
You bring up a good point, and let's carry that a step further. How angry will all global populations be when they realize that they have been irreparably poisoned by climate engineering, that their health has been permanently compromised? How angry will the mothers of autistic children be when they realize this is happening? Power structures try to hide this every way they can to the last possible moment. We have to beat them to the intersection. We have to break the dam. Again, I hope to have some important announcements tomorrow that should move our issue forward if everything comes together properly. But in the meantime, everybody has to use every means at their disposal, every peaceful, effective way to wake up those around them. So again, Kim, thanks for all that you've been doing the whole time, all that you're doing, the March for Monsanto people, and it's all of us working together that matters. So my gratitude to you. And Russ, if it's okay, we'll try to, I think, Kim, you'll probably hang on the line too. And if we can grab maybe one more call or two before we go, that would be great. Unless you have another question, Kim.
No, thank you. I appreciate you guys doing this, and just know that we're doing everything we can over here to really network with people that are already interested and already do care. I'll hang on the line. Thanks.
Thanks, Kim.
Absolutely good. We'll talk to you afterwards, Kim. We do have time for one quick caller if anybody calls in the next few seconds. Otherwise, Dane, somebody wanted me to ask you from the chat room
Yes.
If they said, are you guys planning on making it to the climate conference in Paris this December? I'll give you my answer real quick. If somebody was able to pay my way, I would probably love to go. I'm just not able to pull that off on my own because I'm a working man. Dane?
No, I'm not planning on going, and there's a number of reasons for that. One is that those experts that are at that conference know the notion that many have put out that they're going to show up and alter something in the particular manner that at those conferences that they allow you to speak or interact. We've already had a bunch of people attend a conference like that. It's not unlike the conference I attended with David Keith in 2010. I did that when it was more effective. It's becoming hard to do because they don't give you access to these people. So if we're attending that and not trying to contact these people individually, which we do every day, trying to initiate legal action, which they'll listen to, if any sort of interaction takes place in one of those conferences, you're gone. You're gone. And in fact, the interaction I had with David Keith, which I had a hard time getting into that conference because they knew who I was, they turned down my access. I had to pull a lot of strings with media people I know to get in, and then they banned us from access for the next conference. They banned me. They would not allow me in. So I'm not about to go there and have that happen, for one. And two, the amount of existing wheels that we're working on right now in the legal arena would be slowed up if I was to do that. So I'm not going to attend that. A lot of other people are trying to go there already. I hope they represent our issue well. That's all.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I'm realizing it's a climate conference, and that's what happens when you speak out. Got about 30 seconds, Dane. Any final words for us?
Yes, every day must count. People need to take their cups and look at data.
Excellent. This is GeoEngineering.